Austin Price joining us every week from Volquest.com. Thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Austin, thank you for the time as always. Tennessee, a more rested team than a week ago, getting ready for Texas A&M. What do you think of this matchup for Saturday?
Well, I think it's going to be a really good one, Josh. Two really talented defensive lines. Two offensive lines trying to figure out kind of their footing, right? And it feels like Tennessee's probably just a fraction more stable than Texas A&M, especially with Tennessee finally being healthy or as healthy as they've been all season on the offensive line. Two quarterbacks who, are very capable, but at the same time sometimes can, get a little erratic with their accuracy. And, some deep running back rooms for both. So I think very similar in a lot of ways. And we'll be interested to see if the home field advantage for Tennessee pays a huge dividend.
What do you think about Tennessee's offensive approach, trying to run the football against a team that's been really good at stopping the run? And, of course, Tennessee's offensive passing attack will no longer include Bru McCoy.
Yeah, I think the loss of Bru McCoy is something that Tennessee, fans won't notice until, you get out there. And his ability to block in the running game was so pivotal. His ability to block in the screen game, which is an extension of the run game through the air, was so pivotal. And I think it's one of those hidden yardages that, you won't know till the game's played, but, with some younger receivers, Caleb Webb, Chaz Nimrod, even a Dante Thornton, now out there off the edge, if they try to run that screen game, I mean, how many times do those guys, that trio get caught, and called for holding Saturday? And all of a sudden, what would have been 2nd and 6 or 2nd and 5 turns into 3rd or 3rd and 20. I think all that stuff is kind of hidden in the football game, and I don't think you know until you get into it, what that's going to be like. I really think that, that this is going to be a tough matchup in a lot of ways, but I do think that the crowd and the fact they've had 2 weeks to prepare gives them a little bit more stable footing than had they had to have a quick turnaround for this football game.
Which receiver are you giving the edge to between Thornton, Nimrod, and Webb being on the outside, on the left side of the formation, replacing Bru McCoy?
Well, I think it's Webb to start. Now, does that mean he's the guy all game? No, but I think Webb and then Nimrod. And then, honestly, I think Dante Thornton's just got to get healthy. I mean, he's got that, that hamstring that's flared up. And, I mean, those things just, they have that tendency just to continue to kind of be irritating, right? Like you get it back healthy, then, you run one route, boom, there it flares up again. So, I think that, Dante's got to, figure out, the best path to him staying on the field. I joked with Squirrel White when he walked through the north side of the complex yesterday. He needed to make sure he wraps himself in bubble wrap before he puts his pads on Saturday. I mean, like Tennessee just can't afford any of the receivers to get hurt. I mean, they're in a really tough spot, and you kind of knew going in they were a little bit thin, but then Thornton flares up with a hamstring, and Bru, obviously has the ankle, and now they look really, really thin. And I just think that right now, you won't know until you kind of get into the game kind of what direction they go. But I do think that Webb starts. Nimrod, I think we'll see him. And then a lot of it of Thornton will depend on how that hamstring is.
Do you think there will be a change in philosophy moving forward? Because think about last year, AP. Tennessee had one receiver that was banged up, and that was Tillman. But, you had Hyatt came in, did his thing. Ramel did his thing, and it wasn't a problem moving forward. This year you have, two guys banged up, and you have a lot of young players that you don't really know if they're ready or not. Does Tennessee change their recruiting philosophy to make sure that they're not in this position again moving forward?
Well, I think you have to. I think you've got to do a really good job of stacking the room. Now, the problem with Tennessee is they have a tendency – and they don't like admitting these things, but it's true. They have a tendency to kind of fall in love with, okay, well, hey, here's our three, right? And, because they love to go tempo, they just don't substitute a whole lot. And so nobody wants to be numbers 4, 5, and 6, not getting any kind of run. So trying to get receivers to come in here is a little more difficult than you think, but they've got to stack the room, better than it was stacked this year. They, again, had they stayed healthy, they were fine, right? But, when you have a one or two go down, and right now technically they're still okay. They've got 5 guys for those 3 spots. But Thornton is already, in a tough spot with a hamstring. Now you're kind of down to 4.5 until he can get himself back healthy, if he can ever get there this year. And so, I just think they're in a weird spot. Jack Jancic probably makes the most sense over Nathan Leacock at this point, just because his longevity in the program. I mean, when Tennessee had, they went to the walk-on safety back at the Virginia game before they went to some of those younger guys, just because he knows where to be and, those type of things. I mean, coaches are, they are, creatures of, habit, and the habit of older players is they know the playbook, they know where to be, they don't bust mentally, and coaches like those type of things, even though they may not be as talented as, some of the younger guys. So, I expect Jack Jancic to also be somebody. Obviously, they moved D. Williams over there as well. So Tennessee right now trying to kind of figure it out at receiver.
Wait, Austin, did you say that Jack Jancic or Nathan Leacock? You did
I say Jack Jancic over Nathan Leacock?
Yeah.
I did, yes. I think you're in a position where, is Leacock more talented? Absolutely. Is he a true freshman who's still trying to figure things out? Absolutely.
Do we have over/under 0.5 touches for D. Williams on offense on Saturday?
I'm going under. I don't think he sees the field this Saturday unless it's a specific play for him, and I just don't know if they're to that point yet. I mean, they were hesitant to move him until they just absolutely had to, and it's hard for me to believe that, a handful of practices and 10 days later they're ready to put him out there in any kind of package. Because, again, if they do it, I think it's got to be out of a timeout at a certain spot on the field, and here's why. Because I don't think he starts a drive, because he's not going to have enough knowledge of the offense and know what to do on every play at that position at this point in time after, again, just a couple of practices and, 10 days. Because they don't sub. And if you sub him out, then you're giving your defense or the opposing team's defense a chance to sub, which negates the point of tempo. So, that's a big reason why they don't ever sub receivers. So I just think it'll be if he's in there, it's a specific play or a specific spot on the field where they know that, okay, more than likely after this play we're going to sub out anyway.
Yeah, man, that's a question I had all last week. We talked about D. Williams. I mean, that was the only caveat was you run tempo, and I looked at his football intelligence. How fast can he pick up on all these things? That's the downside of running tempo.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a valid point. I mean,
yeah.
Again, it's just length and knowledge of the offense, because you've not been over there, and the tempo aspect of it, I just think negates him being out there, unless it's like, okay, hey, we're coming out of a timeout, it's 3rd down and this, and we need to get a first down here. We get the first down, then it'll be okay if we sub them out. And, they feel like they've got something like that. I just don't. Anybody that's expecting him to come in here and play 15 or 20 snaps, I think you're fooling yourself. I think if he plays more than 2, I'd be shocked.
Austin Price, Volquest, with us each week. Thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. What is on the recruiting radar for you right now, either guys who have visited recently or coming up here in the middle of October?
Well, you got George McIntyre, the 5-star quarterback from Nashville. He's coming to town this weekend. That's a big one. I know Tennessee's excited to get him back in here. He's been on the visit tour. He was at Alabama, Texas. By the way, he has been to 4 Alabama games in the last year. 3 of them Alabama's lost. So if I was Alabama, I'm not sure I want him showing up anymore. And then, he went down to LSU and Arkansas, and now he's coming here. Just released his top 10, Tennessee, Alabama, LSU, top 3 in my opinion. And then we'll see after that. And then, where's Jordan Seaton at with Tennessee? It feels like, things still continue to progress pretty well there. He is coming back in for the Georgia game officially. Could Kai Bates, the LSU defensive back commit, could he make it in for the Georgia game? He tells me and Matt Ray that, he's hoping to, as Tennessee's continued to work that one a little bit. And then just a handful of guys like Cam Michael, Daniel Hill, all still on the radar, all still a possibility here. And, 6 weeks ago, there was nothing going on in recruiting. 4 weeks ago, there was a flicker, and now there's a little bit of movement in one way or the other. Not, it's kind of good to see, because when there's nothing going on, man, it's dreadful.
Can we expect any high school, commitments before the season is up, or do you feel like this is something that's going to drag into December when the regular season is over?
Well, I think like a guy like Jordan Seaton, you're going to see that one drag on. Cam Michael's going to come off the board sometime in November, so that before the season's up, he'll be off the board. Tennessee, Texas A&M, Colorado, his top three, and Daniel Hill. I see something probably November for Daniel Hill. I mean, it could drag into December, but it just feels like that one's getting closer than it was even a month ago. So, yeah, I mean, I do think there's some possibility there for, some moving around. And then December, I think you might, Tennessee will continue to try to work Kai Bates. They'll continue to try to work Ohio State tight end commit Max LeBlanc, who's at Chattanooga Baylor. And, any of those type flip things I think are December.
Austin Price, Volquest.com. He and his colleagues are busy covering what's happening in recruiting as it will continue to heat back up and the football season in full swing. Austin joins us every week thanks to Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, making it unique, making it special, making it just for you. They want to be your jeweler at Rick Terry Jewelry Designs. Austin, we appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.